G'day, the weekly Waffle returns because, of course, we don't do non-rating season. Racetrack Ralphy, Danny Power, Voice of Reason, and we'll have a bit of a look at Moonee Valley.
Well, we went out in sympathy with the retro boys and the rest of them.
That's right, the retro boys didn't do it, Race Review did it. But we kept going, we weren't here, but we'd like to have a big thank you to Darren James and Tony Shabecki for filling in for us and doing such a fine job. Moonee Valley we'll look back on now, and saw him just fair, just a slight loss. Yeah, we'll start with the Valley. Right. The place that you love.
I love the Valley.
Rail was out 3, made it a bit tricky at times. There was overcompensation races. The first race, I think this Miss Steele from Mick Kent is pretty smart.
Yes, put the writing on the wall at its previous start when it was quite heavily supported pre-post, not so much on day, but
yes,
overcompensated. But it ran well, and it was a good ride. Pushed through.
Super ride. Just waited. And
yeah, nice filly. Nice filly. I know the way Mick Kent trains. He won't have a wound up now. He'll have a wound up for this, but I think there's more to come.
That YouTube video had more hits than Miley Cyrus leading into its debut, and then on the day, because as you said, it was a bit soft. I thought this might have massive improvement in it, and I think on Vince Accardi's stuff was about the 90th best of the day, and he was saying, I'd like to see a bit higher. Kent, he's just too smart for most people.
Too smart.
And I think we saw a hint of its A game, but as you said, it's probably got a heap more to come. Race 2 in the program. This was one of the overcompensation races, and I think it's a bit reflective of when the rail's out a bit on Saturday meetings, bigger fields, higher pressure, both mentally for the jockeys and for the ability of the horses. It creates a bit more of these, not the sort of walk, dash home, Friday night type races.
Yeah, well, there was genuine pace on the way, and look, I think that was possibly. I think Newitt took a tactic. She's got 60 kilos on her back. You don't want to sit her up,
a lead out,
and sprint. So you just get her to a tempo and hope that it gets you home. And I think that's what he did. But the 60 was just probably too much.
I thought it was its wrong race. I didn't blame Craig Newitt at all. It's I don't think it's got the pure speed for 1,000. So if it can control, it's over 1,200. Over 1,000, if you saw its debut win at Bendigo, just out the back and wham. But over 1,000, when the rail's out, as you said, it had to be there, and then that's made it vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, look, it was. I think the first couple home pretty handy around this time. That sort of races. I don't think there was anything special in the race.
Day procedure was off refreshing. It'll just be absolutely spot on fitness-wise next start. So the right type of race, not down the straight where they float the leaders, but that's its go, I think, next start. Race 3 on the program is over 1,200 metres. Good races.
Yeah,
I actually reckon there's a good fillies race.
A lot of pressure, a bit of quality. The winner sustained the pressure.
She can skate.
Yeah, she can skate. That's what you're here for.
Yep.
From the second horse,
Octavia.
Sustained the pressure and then just kept kicking, like good horses do. Yeah. So it was a good win.
It's going straight out on Octavia. Now, of course, gamble responsibly, bet within your means. Get the truck loaded out next time because it is a moral next start, Octavia. As I just said, first up it worried me in my data and it loomed and just didn't have that killer punch. It's the best horse in the race. Fitness-wise, that's the hardest way first up being a speed horse, isn't it? Yeah. So you just know it'll be rock hard.
Well, you knew there was a bit of pressure in the race when Kalonga couldn't get across and it was parked out 3 wide pulling. Plus, you had Nadeem last who'd sort of missed a kick and it was back second last on the turn and ran home and ran third. So.
One more. If it gets to Flemington, Summer Gem, there was no spot for it. Chad Schofield went looking for a spot, had to go all the way back. Blending, 1,400 type race.
I thought for filly that'll get over more ground, it was a really good run.
Travis Harrison Cup means apprentices and generally means Pox rides. And I think the Brownlow for the Pox ride went to Patrick Maloney, who is a 3 kilo claimer who is learning its craft. We're not kicking him, but Almeida could have got there in 400 metres. It was a bit slowly away. As soon as it's slowly away, he went, right, you've got to quickly get there.
Probably rushed it a bit.
And he rushed it. Yeah, and he'll learn from it. We're not putting the boots in. But conversely, someone who did learn from shocker 2 weeks ago, Jake Duffy, all he had to do was put Day Eater in the right spot. Yeah. And he did. He was proactive. Often in Jake Duffy's problem is that he's not proactive enough. And I think he said he got Peter Moody's size 12 up his clacker that morning, and he rode like he did. Yeah. And as such, it was over.
So in the old days, it would have been the cigarette burn, but he's not smoking anymore.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's off him.
So it was in the right spot, Day Eater, but the first 2, Day Eater and
Yamato. Rock Princess ran okay.
Moral on a bog track.
And it was the lane of the day, I thought, Rock Prince from Barrier 1. I just didn't think she'd get into the position she didn't.
Danish Whiskey's got terrific closing speed, but not that day, not the way the race shape was.
Okay.
Flemington next up for it, and it'll be very, very hard to beat. Race 5 on the program. What a race. Now, to start with, it didn't fit the So You Think odds on McKinnon Stakes theory, Mr. O'Kieran. Last prep, third up, beaten 14.5 lengths. Why would you take $1.60?
I certainly wouldn't have.
Hey.
Look, I think people, they just got carried away. It was so impressive in his last start, but it just had that class edge on him in his last start in the way the race was run, and it just got clear, bossy. Different story this day.
And Vince Accardi's got a theory that I'm interested in your take on this. He reckons younger horses can do those big PBs and go again. Once they get a bit older and they do a big PB, you want to be careful next up because they can only go to the world that many times.
Younger horses do. They're the ones that can take the double step, or they can step.
Yeah.
The older horses usually step in gradual to their usual peak.
Yeah.
Because we don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes with the horses, so it's not. You can't say, oh well, last time third up it won, so this time third up, but it's usually a pretty good sign.
And it is a sign to say be careful if you're going to take short.
But there was a lot of pressure in this race. He was never comfortable, the horse. He was never comfortable. Once a horse gets out of his comfort zone, like no matter how good or like under normal circumstances, he beats that field. But when he's out of his comfort zone, you're 5 minutes off your game, you might as well be 20 lengths off your game.
And Dean Yendall was on a leader called Constant Force, so he thought, well, I'm going to lead on a leader. It doesn't matter what anything else is going to do, I'm going to lead on a leader.
I'm leading.
So Kaipo lad, a legitimate tactic, by the way, because he's a 2,400 metre horse, bowls along. Did you hear Dean Lester, who may or may not have been talking through his ownership of Constant Force, like this, said to the 600 metre mark, they went faster than they did in So You Think's Cox Plate.
Yeah.
So You Think had 49 kilos and might have been a bit better horse than these. Yeah. So they were retired to knock up.
It's crazy stuff.
The winner, Defiant Largo, well, he's a 2,400 metre horse, but he got 2,400 metre type pressure.
Because they made it.
Exactly. Race 6 on the program was won by
Blackie
and Spacecraft. It was Bone Crusher out of Waverley Star, wasn't it? Same type of thing, same track.
Was there any immortality from the caller?
They raced on to an 101 Stakes immortality. Blackie raced his way out. Spacecraft, the overs God smashed me. I sent out an alert on Friday, $5.50. What did it start, 280 or something?
310 or
something. 310, there you go. Well, you just know when you get overs that you're going to be. It was
Spacecraft ran to his previous start.
Yeah,
ran to his previous start.
And Blackie bought some
strong
of his own game. He was trucking.
Yeah, but he jumped with them and he was in a position this time. He was close enough to them. The little girl rode, Kayla Nesbitt rode Spacecraft well.
Yeah.
There's some good runs. Under the Eiffel was where you would expect him to be. He had every chance.
Black and Tough, well named in race 7, but Serene Star.
Sea Galleon in that race.
Sea Galleon, yeah, further. But Serene Star, look, it just didn't have its spot. And I can't overly blame Jackie Berryman because with Mick Kent being the trainer, he would have said, get to the rails, get to the rails. So she kept on getting the rails. By then, Black and Tough is off and gone. Both those horses are good horses.
There was a case where there was a gap between the backs and the fronts.
Yeah.
So
nothing to blend it in.
There was nothing to drag her in, so she had to wait. And she came home, ran home good, and I think the winner's pretty smart.
It's pretty smart.
I don't know. I can't remember the name of the stable mate, but she is very smart, and I reckon this is only a length below it. So.
And Stamp counted. They went. It all of a sudden it jumped so well, and they're going, I don't want to lead. So they had nothing to do. Once it jumped so well, Counted can peak off this next start. Last race, that was the overcompensation race. Yeah, we always get one of them.
They're usually late.
Henwood, no fault of Tom Sadler. Anyone who blames Tom Sadler just doesn't know racing.
I saw some tweets where they were just going berserk about
You can actually legitimately be unlucky in racing. And it was actually the wrong race to put him in, to be honest, because from an inside draw, he's not a speed horse. Where he's going to be, he's going to need luck.
We can't wrap jockeys that get up on the fence and win.
Yeah.
Through luck,
yeah,
and then blame them when the luck doesn't come.
Yeah, so we know the Flying Coney and Hotham Heights, they're the blouses when the pressure's on. The pressure was on because Tacklebury was a little bit slow to begin, and then he had to rush. So Tacklebury can bounce back from that, but that was the overcompensation race. That was Moonee Valley. We saw him just fair. Hopefully we see him better at Flemington.
It was Moonee Valley though.
We are going to review Flemington next, where we got it right, and we just need to look at some other bigger Flemington issue next on the Weekly Waffle.